Welcome back to another episode of DFS and Dynasty. We are here to answer all your questions and get you guys ready for the Week 9 slate. And whenever I say we, I mean Steve and Austin. Steve, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Oh, it's a great Sunday. 49ers already won. We are in the clubhouse with that wonderful 2-win season. So I am just, I'm feeling great. I'm
You
feeling
do,
great.
man. You have like this aura about you, Usually when you see an aura like that, it's orange, but being that it's 49ers, you have like this red and gold look to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be because I am on my man period and or haven't taken a shower in a few days. All are possible options. Speaking of not showering, Austin, how are you, my friend?
Good. Hey, I have a special aura about myself, this morning too. I mean, Michigan fucking crushed it yesterday. I mean, holy shit, man. I have more than a 3.5-inch chub right now, and I slept with that shit. So, what a fucking win yesterday.
Yeah,
That was
man.
a
You guys on your
blowout
way
too,
to the
man.
playoff. You still got a couple big wins though. You got to win a couple more big ones, but hey, college football was rough for me yesterday. Longhorns, holy cow, man.
Oh,
Heart attack people. Gosh. Should
2-point
have won the
conversion.
game. Got to play defense. Got to play defense. Okay, so we are going to be going over weather, news and notes, updates around the league, and who to target for different types of format and FanDuel, DraftKings, all those things. And Austin will be monitoring the questions as they come in, and he'll be bringing those up. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into the weather. I think we've got one game that's kind of a mess. Austin, talk us through this one.
Yep, only one game of concern this week, and it's not really even it's more so the weather yesterday fucked the field up over there in Miami. The Duke and Miami game, they just tore the field up. Some comments from the staff, those working on the field right now, they said the field is horrendous and it's a complete shit show. I mean, when you talk about the staff saying stuff like that, oh man, that just cracks me up. So right now they're working on the field, trying to, I guess, sop up some of the mess, and this is it might reduce passing opportunities, but it's going to make it difficult for tackling, obviously, and make it difficult for running here and there. But I don't know. Are you guys gonna? I don't have a lot of exposure to this game. I mean, I have a couple guys here, only because they're fucking cheap this week. So
Right. I think Crowell is the big one that I'm paying attention to. He burned us last week, but the volume and the offense, and the value is still there a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about him later on, but let's move over to our Patriots game. So, Steve, man, we are getting news about Gronk and Sony Michel. Tell us what to do with these two guys.
At this point, man, just stay away from it. I mean, Gronk, I would just stay away from in general. If you have Michelle and you somehow have James White on your team, you'll be good. You just got to be careful with this whole situation in general. If you want to play any of these guys, you want to wait out the game time decision. Make sure you have somebody in your lineup that is involved with that game, and have these guys in a flex spot so you could utilize wide receivers too. We'll get into Geronimo Allison being out, but if Valdez Scantling's out there, pick him up. Just anybody that has to do with this game that you feel can provide some value, given any of these guys are out. Just again, have them in your flex spot, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you talked about Geronimo Allison. It's already he's going to be out, but Cobb is in, so there's going to have to be somebody that's going to get those snaps. I'm betting it's going to be Scantling. He has just looked wonderful. Now, this doesn't affect this week so much, but AJ Green visiting a foot specialist, and goodness. Everything is on the table, including surgery. Is this a time? This is a little bit more of a dynasty question or a redraft question. Austin, are you looking to move AJ Green with this news, or are you just like hoping nothing happens if you got him on your roster?
I'm gonna hang on to him, obviously, but I know I'm probably gonna lose a few weeks with him now. But I mean, I'm one of those that stocked up on freaking Tyler Boyd early in the season, so I feel comfortable. And then, of course, for DFS next week, hey. The next man up situation will be great to play. So,
all right, I like it. Kenny Stills, going back to this one, not expected to play. Devontae Parker had over 100 yards receiving last week. Is there a chance this can return, Steven? Are you just staying away from this, or what do we want to do here?
I'm just gonna stay away from it. I mean, honestly, I'm sticking to the ground in this game on both sides of the ball or on both sides of the field. Um, I don't know if last week was an anomaly with Devontae Parker. He's always susceptible to getting injured, so I'm staying away from any wide receiver that has to do with Miami or the Jets.
Yeah, it's one of the lowest over-unders of the week, and if you wanna make I always say this, I don't wanna gamble, and I think if you're relying on freaking Brock Osweiler and Devontae
Yeah,
Parker, that's
Brocktober's over. We're in
yeah,
November now, man.
yeah.
You know,
So
this is no shave November, so we might see some Fitz magic with that magnificent beard of
ooh,
his.
there you go, there you go. Darius, Slay, big play Slay, is expected to play because, his knee, he's been kind of in and out. Do we wanna touch anybody, Austin, in this game here? Because, you know, it's really a rough game. It's got a 49-point Detroit versus Minnesota or at Minnesota. Do we wanna mess with this? Diggs is gonna be out. What do you wanna do here? Is Thielen still worth a play?
Oh yeah, Thielen's always a play every week. You got to have a lineup or two with Thielen in it, no matter what. But this was a hard game. Like I probably spent the most time on this game deciding if I was going to use too many people, too many individuals. Right now, I was like talking to Steven this morning. You know, he said he's high on Rudolph for this game, but I mean, there's other opportunities out there, in my opinion. But you know,
So what do you
I I'm
when you
high
say
on
that, what do you mean, Austin?
what's that?
When you say that there's other opportunities, are you talking about this game specifically or just saying
There's
stay away from this
I mean,
game?
because for like tight end Rudolph, I mean, God, he's
Gotcha.
5,700, but I mean, there's Njoku's 5,200, and against Kansas City has a better opportunity to outproduce Rudolph this week. So
Ooh, I
yeah,
like it.
he does, but like my thing about Rudolph is you have Diggs out, so there's a good chunk of targets that goes away. And Rudolph actually has a pretty good history playing against Detroit, and Detroit has always been weak covering the middle of the field, so he could provide some mismatches in this game. So I actually have Rudolph in a lot of lineups this week.
All right, I like it. Also, let's stay again with the Jets. Are optimistic that Robbie Anderson and Quincy Enunwa will be playing. This is much earlier than we thought Enunwa would be back. We were thinking 4 to 6 weeks with that high ankle sprain. But again, we've talked about this game. The weather's a mess. You guys aren't playing any of the Jets wide receivers, are you, in DFS?
I have Curse
You have
because he's
Curse?
cheap. Yeah, he's cheap. So
Yeah, I have Curse in like 2 lineups, and mainly because I needed somebody super cheap because it was hard not to make some lineups with Gurley in it, even though he's extremely high priced. But
a single lineup, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, with the Nunwa back, we're still not sure who's going to be that slot guy that gets all those targets, but Curse is definitely going to be in the mix. There's no way he's going to lay a goose egg again, is there?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
You broke my
It's
heart,
really hard to
Curse.
say.
You broke my heart.
There's
You
always
broke
that
it.
opportunity. So
We're
And my
focusing
wallet.
way too much time the last couple weeks
I
on
know.
fucking Jermaine Curse.
Okay.
All right, Austin, we got a question.
Yes, it's directed straight for the 49er fans in the house.
Oh, what's up?
So who's starting next week? And this is from Charles Barr. He's in you definitely know he's in one of the listener leagues and stuff like that.
Oh, what's
I
up,
think he's
Chuck?
Chucky
I think he's
B.
been a listener. I think he's been a listener in the chat too. But he wants to know if Sam Bradford or Beathard going to start for the 49ers next week.
Sam Bradford, what a dick. It's the fighting Nick Mullins show. Are you kidding me? He was absolutely amazing. If you played him, you won. He just tore it up, man. About 5 points away from a perfect quarterback rating. It's going to be Nick Mullins. They haven't announced it yet, but it's going to be Nick Mullins. He is going to be the guy there for at least the foreseeable future. And on that note, they play next week, Monday night versus the Giants. Uh-oh. It's going to be another big game. So I will have him in a few lineups next week.
Dude, with all these quarterback issues going on, how do you think Colin Kaepernick feels right now?
It's a bunch of bullshit.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
Matt Barkley got signed this week. Matt Barkley, dumbface Barkley got signed. I don't know, man. It's an absolute mess, but it's what
Only
it
in
is.
America.
All right, here we go. Chris Carson is going to be a game time decision, which is crazy because they have been just a gigantic run heavy offense of late. But man, they're optimistic he plays. Tell me what you're doing with this backfield, Austin. Where are you kind of targeting or staying away?
I'm gonna punt this to Steve.
He used to live in Seattle. He doesn't want to offend
Well,
them.
here's what I can say. If you're playing the Sunday main, obviously stay away from it. And just in the regular fantasy world, all platforms, see if Mike Davis is available, because last time Carson didn't play, he lit up the world. So, and I think the Chargers are a good enough matchup, and especially because they're at home. Their defense actually has been playing a little bit better, and they do love to run the ball this year. So that's kind of the way to approach that. And then if you're playing the 4 p.m. only lineups and DFS, really monitor this stuff, because Mike Davis is only like 5,100. So, and there's enough star power to put some lineups together to where you could really benefit from that cost factor of Mike Davis.
Man, am I crazy? Doug Baldwin is 5,700 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I know he's not 100%. I know his target share has kind of gone down, but that's just unreal value. Am I wrong, Austin? I mean, how do you feel about Doug Baldwin?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's going to get the targets. So him and Lockett. I mean, Lockett's actually been out targeting Baldwin more and more. It seems like every week. So, but I mean, if you want to have exposure to this game, on that side of the field, then yeah, I mean, Baldwin and Lockett are the two that I would look at. But I'm still not touching this game. I mean, I'm bummed. I wanted some exposure to Gordon, but with his injury news, I'm kind of staying away from that too. So.
Well, Gordon's gonna play. It's just a matter of how much. But the biggest thing that I saw is that Seattle has only allowed 5 touchdowns to running backs, and Todd Gurley has 3 of them.
Three of them.
Yeah, that's really kind of hard to say. But as far as Doug Baldwin goes, his price has been going down because not only Lockett, but David Moore too. So, what could eventually end up happening with this run game, the fact that Lockett and Moore are spreading the field a little bit, you might see Baldwin a little bit underneath. So I think there's just too much history and chemistry there with Wilson and Baldwin to kind of ignore it, especially at that price.
Okay. We got another question, Austin.
So the question is, do we have a cash core? So players that we're kind of looking at that we kind of focus for cash games that we build our lineups around. And to start this one off an answer, basically what I do first is I look for the highest point totals that Vegas provides. And I sit there and pull players in and out based off of their price and then what I expect, how I expect them to do that week. So.
Yeah, I want the super safe, my unicorns, Austin calls them. I want the super safe running backs, the guys that are going to be incredible high volume, whether that's rushing attempts or passing attempts, in a high scoring game against a poor defense. And so whenever I'm looking at that, kind of the high scoring games, obviously Kareem Hunt jumps to the top of the list. Absolutely love Christian McCaffrey this week. I want those guys in those high potent offenses that, you would put Gurley up there, obviously, but he's so expensive that
he doesn't hit value. He hasn't hit value in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm still playing him in a few lineups, and I've cashed with my lineups with him, but barely. And it's getting closer and closer and closer. So, but my 2 favorite plays this week are definitely Kareem Hunt and Christian McCaffrey, just because that floor is so unreal, and they both could be the number 1 scoring running back this week. I love that. And DeAndre Hopkins on the offensive side. I get that Demaryius Thomas is going to be good to go, and I like him. But, man, if we were redrafting right now just for this season, I really do think that DeAndre Hopkins would be the number 2 wide receiver behind Thielen. Those 2 guys have just been killing it and very, very safe each week. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I like guys that I like this week too at the running back position that I think are safe are going to be Nick Chubb. I know there's been a big shakeup in that coaching staff, and playing against Kansas City, who's one of the worst in the league against the run, I could see him getting a decent amount of volume, and he's produced, since that trade, and he's done quite well. And even before that, it was he didn't get a lot of looks, but he produced with what he had. So I think that's kind of difficult to ignore at 6,600. And then I also like Kamara too this week, just because I think he's kind of matchup proof. He doesn't, with Ingram back, he's not going to see obviously north of 20 touches that he saw the first 4 weeks of the season. But he can get to the outside, he can go between the tackles, and he can create some mismatches in the middle of the field. As far as receiving goes. So those are two guys that I've been having a hard time staying away from this week.
So we had a couple more questions over YouTube. One of them is just fantasy. Do you like Chubb or Ingram full PPR for this week?
Go
I
ahead,
like
Steve.
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, he's a lot cheaper if you're going DFS, but I'm telling you right now, I do not like Mark Ingram against the Rams. The strength of their team is up the middle, and I think that this game just screams Kamara.
Yep.
And
That's why I
so
love him this week, man.
now I will say this: I don't like the running back situation for Cleveland because with Freddie Kitchens taking over as offensive coordinator, he's come out and said, like, we are going to mimic a little bit more of a high attack spread offense like what they did in Oklahoma. I really do think Duke Johnson could get more work. I think he has to get more work, but it's not something I want to bet on this week. So if I'm choosing it's between these two guys, I'm going Nick Chubb. I think that he is safer. But if it was a DFS play, I'm staying away from these because there's just too many questions. I like Kamara and I like Duke Johnson, but not enough to gamble with him. I don't like gambling in DFS. I want to see it for 1 week first. But his volume should be a huge uptick.
Hey, so Austin Thompson jumped on there and goes, "What's up, you mother bitches?" So
mother bitches. I love that.
So give him a
That's
shout
awesome.
out. But yeah, he
Nice.
said he's finally caught the live show. He's been looking forward to it for a while. And then Lee asked, "Do we like DJ?" It is a great question. Who do we like more for this week, DJ Moore or Sutton, as for a cheap wide receiver?
Ooh.
I like Sutton way more. I love Sutton this week, and I have him in several of my lineups. Now, he's only 5,500, and they are playing against Houston, and their secondary is an absolute mess. This could be a decent high-scoring game, but if you look at DJ Moore, he's not a bad play either. 5,300, $200 cheaper. This game is expected to have a much higher point total, and we all know Tampa Bay cannot guard anybody, but I think Sutton is safer. DJ Moore has the higher ceiling. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I guess I would have to agree with that. I mean, as we talked about pre-show, there's not a lot of targets in Denver. I hate Case Keenum. I hate his situation. Houston's a little bit weaker against the pass than they are the run. So, and if Hopkins keeps playing the way that he has been, they could jump ahead, and then there just could be a lot of volume there for Sutton. DJ Moore, there's more weapons there, and I think he's going to be more the guy that can just get behind defenses, maybe catch a long touchdown or even two this week against Tampa Bay. So I think if you want to go like safe, high volume, safe floor, Sutton might be the better option.
Yep, I like it. All right, let's jump forward with a little bit more news and notes, and we'll get to some more questions as they keep coming in. Melvin Gordon will play. He was out, way back that early game in London, which burned a lot of people than the bye week. But, man, what are we doing with this backfield? Eckler, Gordon, Austin, what do you think, man? Are we staying away from both, or do you like either one of these guys?
I'm keeping an eye on the news. If it comes more and more that Gordon won't play, like a snap count, won't play as much, then I might go Eckler in this situation because I don't think Seattle does well for pass catching backs. I mean, I got it. They let Gurley, but you got to think about it. Gordon, in my opinion, is like number 2, 3. So he could easily get 1 or 2 touchdowns off this defense, So I know everyone's like kind of worried about playing it, but I mean, he would only be in tournament play for me this week. I would never use an injured running back for cash. So
Gotcha. Royce Freeman not expected to play. We've talked about this a little bit with Phillip Lindsay. Man, are we okay playing Phillip Lindsay, or do we want to stay away from this backfield completely?
I'm staying away. I think I have Lindsay in 1 or 2 tournaments. just because of and it's mainly in DraftKings just because of the PPR volume and the lack of targets. But yeah, I don't know. Against Houston's good against the run. I'm not too high on this backfield.
Okay, I like it. And Antonio Callaway is expected to play after getting his ankle rolled up on practice, and Hollywood Rashard Higgins is expected to play as well. Man, I'm going to kind of answer this one myself. It's a new system. The head coach, who had a very heavy offensive influence on how they did things, and the offensive coordinator, Todd Haley, are both gone. We don't know what this is going to look like. And so, again, don't gamble. Don't gamble. Kansas City's defense is awful. I get that. But we have no idea who. Outside of Jarvis Landry and David Njoku, I really do not want to touch this side of the ball. And Nick Chubb would probably be the next one up there. But I'm telling you, we do not know what this is going to look like. It could be amazing. It could be awful. You never know how people are going to respond whenever they're responsible for getting their coaches fired. I don't know. Austin, what do you think here?
Wait, hold on real quick, just to piggyback off of this, because I have a feeling you guys are going to find this a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
Josh Daniels is reported as a potential candidate for the Browns head coaching vacancy.
Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, the Browns
what a
douchebag.
What a douchebag.
Fuck off. He's not a douchebag. He's fucking amazing. Suck a dick.
You don't think you don't think he's a douchebag?
No, I love him.
The Browns could also pursue Baker Mayfield's college coach, Lincoln Riley.
That would be the best hire. Yeah. That would be the best hire. But Lincoln Riley's not leaving Norman. I wish he would as a Longhorn guy, but I don't think that's going to happen. Josh McDaniels is staying. He might flirt with it and try to get more money out of Kraft, but that dude's such a douche. He makes me want to take a shower changing his name. Saying his name is just, ugh, what a loser.
I like him more than Belichick now.
I had a feeling this was going to be the reaction I got out of you guys. That's why I had to throw that in there.
Goal achieved. Speaking of coaches, John Harbaugh, his seat is heating up. This is crazy to me. I don't understand. People don't know what they got, man. John Harbaugh, they're doing a hell of a job. They're 4-4. I get that they are at 500, but they're a decent team with a strong defense. And who are you going to bring in if you fire him? Who are you going to bring in? I don't know. Austin, McDaniels? He won't leave. He's going to leave you at the door and then run back home to mommy.
No,
that's just
he's going to leave you guys at the door. I don't have to worry about it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're even saying he's kind of in a win or else situation. So I don't know.
We'll see here. They're 4-4. They've been pretty close. They've never finished below 7-9 with him as head coach. This is very consistent. He kind of reminds me of like the Mark Richt of the NFL world. But always plays great defense. Offensive line's always pretty solid. Flacco, I think, is the problem there. But all right, let's move over to games that I want you to target, or that we want you to target, and that Vegas wants you to target. The best game right off the bat, Austin, which one is your favorite game that you just got to get as many shares of this game as possible?
I think it's either the Carolina-Tampa Bay game or it's the Rams-New Orleans game. Right now, I love grabbing as many players out of both these games, the only problem is pricing. There is no wiggle room again this week to where we have guys that we can, like, I don't know, kind of use like as a punt player that you know is going to get volume. But those are the two. I mean, right now, Vegas had started the week at 54 for over-under on Tampa and Carolina, and now it's up to 55. So that's a good early game. And then the later game, I mean, the Rams in New Orleans started at 60, but it's dropped down to 57.5 as of this morning. So, I mean, you figure there's a lot for player pools out of these two. This almost helps answer the question about building our cash lineup. So these are safe games to target.
I love McCaffrey, man. I absolutely love McCaffrey this week. Now let's go opposite to you, Steve. which games do you just don't want anybody on? Like if you look over the lineups that you've created this week, and again, if you like our lineups, which you should, because they always do well. We've had one rough week. Head over to eatsleepfantasy.com. They are $5 a week. And guess what? We have a new promo. Can we talk about this on air? I think we can, right?
I think we should.
Yeah.
I think we should.
We have decided that if you buy the rest of the season lineups, you also get a bronze membership thrown in for free. So we understand that we are in week 9 and we are going to lower that price a little bit. Austin, what's the new price going to be for the full season of lineups?
Right now, it's still at 45, and that was
45.
reduced it last week. So
yeah, so
but we can go lower. We can go live right now and go lower if you guys want to.
I mean, I'm thinking starting week 10.
Yeah, next week we'll drop down to 40 and a bronze membership. I mean, this is unreal. It's only basically $5 a week. We're going all the way through the Super Bowl, so we still have a lot of weeks left, and you still get the bronze membership with Eat Sleep Fantasy. So head over there, eatsleepfantasy.com, click on the lineups, hit subscribe, and we got you. So it is there's just a lot there for you guys, and again, we update those constantly. I've changed over twice this morning, and after the show, once inactives come out, we will do a final revision there, and we are here for you guys. FanDuel, DraftKings, 50-50 cash, tournament. We've got multipliers, qualifiers. We got it all covered for you guys, so we kind of take that out. So back to you, Steve. The games to stay away from. What games do you not want to mess with?
The games I really haven't been doing anything with have been the Chargers in Seattle and then the Jets in Miami. Now, as I already said earlier, I do have exposure to the backfields for both the Jets and Miami. And then I do have a couple what the hell stacks with Rivers and Russell Wilson, but these aren't games that I'm getting a ton of exposure to. Just I don't know, just nothing really screams out to me for these games.
Gotcha. All right, I think we have another question. Austin, what's up, bud?
Hey, so for punt, play, and cash games, do we like Ito Smith from New Orleans this week? I'll start off. I'm going to say no. I don't think 5,600 is cheap enough for me to look at him this week. So,
that's probably Traquan Smith from New Orleans.
Oh, well, it says from New Orleans. Yeah, okay, Traquan Smith. Okay, go ahead.
That would be my guess, and I think he's 5,100. If
that
this
might be on DraftKings.
If this is indeed Traquan Smith that we're talking about, I don't mind him just because he did see some more targets last week, and Michael Thomas and Kamara could be a focal point for. Why am I drawing a blank on who the hell they're playing right now for the Rams?
The Rams.
So Traquan Smith could be a guy that he could take one to the house on a deep shot.
And that's the thing. You're gambling not on volume, but on the big play. That's what you're wanting with him.
He would be a bad tournament.
Yeah, tournament, yes. The other side, no. Now, Ito Smith is 5,600, and they are playing against Washington. I do not like that play. The Washington run defense is stout, to say the least. They have been playing very, very well. And again, very similar to Traquan Smith. If you're playing Ito Smith, you're hoping for a rushing touchdown. You're talking about like a 6-carry game for 20 yards and a touchdown to return value. That is not something I want to bet on. I do understand that Matt Ryan cannot throw touchdown passes in the red zone, but I think that there are much better plays out there. Somebody like Cortland Sutton, somebody like DJ Moore. There are just guys out there. And if you want to spend a little bit more, even Isaiah Crowell, just because the volume is there. And we've seen that Isaiah Crowell's been twice on the $1 million lineup, and the upside is there, whereas Ito Smith, it's not. So let's go through emergency value plays. This is probably one of my favorite parts of what we do each week. And this is, you get last minute news that somebody is out and you've got to kind of change your lineup while you're, at church or whatever. Our listeners don't go to church, but that's okay. Let's say hypothetically you did. So Austin, will you go through some of these emergency value plays at each position? These are guys that you could put in last minute if all hell breaks loose.
I'm going gonna punt the QB position because there's really no emergency play. It's either you get a guy or you don't this week, unfortunately.
It was Nick Mullins. That's who it was.
Yeah, it was. He's already been used, right?
Yep.
Fucked me hard. But this week for running back, I mean, you got
Did he
Crowell.
spit on it?
Yeah, no kidding. Mike, I don't think he spit on it. You got Mike Davis if Carson doesn't play, and then I like Aaron Jones this week. I mean, he's 5,800 on FanDuel.
Ty Montgomery's gone, man.
Yeah, that volume opportunity, and then to kind of piggyback off the question about New Orleans and do we think he's because for wide receivers, man, Treadwell and Zay Jones are great for volume. I mean, Zay Jones, if I remember correctly, he scored last week, or I know he got over 10 points. So Zay Jones
I made some money with him last week. I
Yeah,
had him
and
in the single lineups, the single game lineups. I put him in, and I cashed in every one of them.
And then you figure Treadwell. I mean, if Diggs is actually out or even on a limited snap count, then Treadwell is great at 4,700. And then let Steve jump in here on the tight ends because I know he loves them tight ends. So
Yes, I do. Don't threaten me with a good time.
yeah,
So
spit on it.
that's right. So I've already talked about earlier, and it's 5,700, but I like Rudolph against Detroit. And then, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of looking for Njoku to have a rebound game with his matchup against Kansas City, and he's 5,200. And then, talking about that Denver game with Thomas gone, not many targets involved for Case Keenum to throw the ball to. Very hard to say how much involvement Deshaun Hamilton or any other wide receiver outside of Emmanuel Sanders and Cortland Sutton are going to, have any, whatsoever involvement. So Jeff Hireman, the tight end there, I mean, he did have a touchdown called back to a penalty or something like that last week. I don't remember exactly, but he's 4,600. And if Houston again jumps out on Denver and gets ahead and forces the hand of Denver to have to throw the ball a lot, he could see an uptick in targets.
Right. Okay. All right. I like it. At defenses, obviously the Broncos defense and Redskins defense, both are great plays at 3,400. The Redskins have just been doing a lot. It's impressive, man, what they have been able to do with a very limited talent base, and they're only getting better. The trade deadline.
I got a question for you guys this week because I put it up there in the notes. I know that Cam is like the safest probably QB of the week going against Tampa Bay, but Goff and Breeze is 8,400, and Goff right now, everywhere I've looked, is projected to outscore Breeze. What do you guys think?
It's interesting to me. I would prefer Breeze personally. I would definitely prefer Breeze, but I get it. Goff they throw it so much when they're in the red zone, and even if it's still Gurley scoring, they still throw it to him. Whereas, man, it seems like there's been several years in a row that the Saints have been in the top 5 as far as rushing attempts inside the goal line, but Mark Ingram has not shown that he is Mark Ingram yet. And so I think that that's going to stay the way that it is this week. And I could see Kamara getting 1 or 2 touchdown catches. I think it's in the possibility. So I'm going Breeze this week personally. I know they're the exact same price, 8,400, and I'm staying Drew Brees. I'm staying Drew Brees this week.
I'm torn on them. I'd probably lean Breeze just because they're in New Orleans, but it's Goff, man. I mean, New Orleans defense has been playing a little bit better, but he's also getting cut back this week, and he's kind of creates a mismatch in the middle. Linebackers can't stay with him. He tends to eat up nickel corners. So I don't know. Goff's got all his weapons there, and you obviously have to respect Todd Gurley. So it's very hard to say, but I would probably lean Breeze just because they're at home.
Yep. This is rough. You can't go wrong with either one. Both have been very, very safe, very predictable. And so it's not that big of a deal. Like whoever you feel is the better play, go with that. And I love home plays. If I ever have tie breaks, I'm going with the home player. Especially when that comes to Drew Brees or Ben Roethlisberger, these guys that just have huge home and away splits. And so I'm going to bet on that. Now, real quick, before we jump off, I want to be able to give both of these guys an opportunity to kind of talk final thoughts, great prediction. I know Austin's got something on this, on his stacks. Austin's a big stat guy. He likes to to stack the individual teams. I was going to make like a perverted joke right there and then decided not to. So I want that to be on the record. I usually don't do that. But Austin, what are some final thoughts and or predictions you got this week?
So my prediction this week for stacks, I think the Carolina stack will outscore the Kansas City stack this week. And you're talking guys like Mahomes, Hunt, Hill, Kelsey will not perform as well as Newton, McCaffrey, Funchess, and Olsen. So what do you guys think?
That's interesting. I mean, the money would say the other way around for sure. I mean, Kansas City has been top notch all week or all season. But I love it, man. I love Carolina this week. I really, really do. I think that they are going to do so much damage. I love Carolina this week.
Yeah, I do too, especially against that defense. The way they're rolling, how do you stop that offense? You know, it's tough. Both offenses should put up a lot of points this week.
All right, let's head over to the bald man himself. Steve, give us something good.
Yeah, there's a little bit left up there. Not fully there yet. It's close, though. I'll give you that.
Man, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to sell short.
I'm
just basing that off of your Bitmoji character, to be honest.
Oh, my God.
You love my Bitmoji. You know you do.
Those stick of Bitmojis.
You love it.
So hey, Lee wants to know, like, I'll post it here, but Lee wanted to know exactly how to buy the rest of the seasons. He couldn't find it. So I'll post it real quickly on how to subscribe for the rest of the season.
Yeah, appreciate it, Lee. Thank you, man. Appreciate the support. And let's make some money.
But anyways, my bold prediction here is that the Lions win for a couple reasons. One,
against Minnesota.
Well, here's it's bold, but here's why I say it. And I don't like Detroit. I hate the Lions, but here's why. A, it's a game they shouldn't win. They managed to win games that they should not win. But what kind of helps them is the amount of injuries that Minnesota has. They have players down on the offensive line. You know, Diggs, if he plays, is going to be limited. You know, players on defense are hurt too. So, you know, these are potential opportunities to give this frustrating football team a chance to win a game that they should not win.
I like it.
Outside of that, go to eatsleepfantasy.com. There's a big orange button on there somewhere that says subscribe. You get all the options. If you scroll down, you'll see $5 a week. Or starting in week 10, we're going to go down to $40 for the rest of the year. And as John said earlier, you will get the ESF bronze membership to go along with that. So go there, check all that stuff out, subscribe. All the writers are always putting stuff up there. These guys are staying ahead of it. Be on the look for Clayton's waiver wire article here coming up. He generally gets it out Monday or early Tuesday. He stays on top. He stays ahead of it. So always look for that stuff. It'll benefit your team.
I like it. And my closing thoughts of the week are the Houston Texans will put up 2 top 10 wide receivers again with Demaryius Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins. I'm telling you, I love revenge games. A lot of it's just because I didn't get a lot of hugs as a kid. But whenever you get to play against your former team and the week you got traded, I understand he hasn't been there that long, but Demaryius Thomas is a vet. He has played in a lot of terrible offensive schemes, kind of like Josh McDaniel's scheme. He will be able to translate to this very, very quickly. He's going to have a good game. Did you like that little dig I threw in there last second, Austin?
You're good. I don't know. I mean, one of the greatest offensive minds out there. I mean, are you just saying it's Belichick and Brady? You don't think McDaniels has nothing to do with it, huh?
Charlie Weiss was better.
You know what's some funny shit is Demaryius Thomas gets traded, goes to Houston to practice, to fly back to Denver to play this week. Who do you think paid for all that?
I think Houston had to pay for it all. But actually, didn't Denver kept some of his salary? So the whole salary wasn't traded down to Houston. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, guys, we appreciate you, and we will be back in the week to talk some Dynasty. We're going to bring back some Dynasty talk and some DFS talk. So stay strong. And where can they find you, Austin? What is your Twitter handle, sir?
AUSTN without the I 37.
All right. He didn't sound too enthused about that. What about you, Steve?
As always, SSPAC21. That's
those.
right. SBAC21. No matter how much shit I get for it. And my Bitmoji, that's where you will find me.
There you go. And you can always find me at your mom's house. Peace.